The phone rang at 2:17 a.m., shattering the fragile silence of my empty apartment like a gunshot through glass. I bolted upright in bed, heart slamming against my ribs, the sheets tangled around my legs like restraints. The screen glowed with my son's name, Ethan, and for a split second, I thought it was a nightmare bleeding into reality. But no, it was him, his voice cracking over the line, raw and broken. "Dad, I'm at the police station. My stepdad. He beat me, Dad. He hit me so hard I blacked out, and then he called the cops on me. Said I attacked him. Please. Come get me." The words hung in the air, venomous and unreal. My vision blurred with rage, a hot, molten fury that surged from my gut to my throat. Ethan, my boy. 17, lanky and awkward, with my eyes and his mother's stubborn chin, beaten by that smug bastard Victor. The man who'd slithered into my family after the divorce. All charm and false promises. I gripped the phone so tight my knuckles ached, imagining them wrapped around Victor's throat instead. "I'm coming," I growled, my voice a stranger's, low, trembling with barely contained violence. "Stay put, son. Don't say a word to anyone." I threw on clothes in the dark, fumbling with buttons, the fabric rough against my clammy skin. The drive to the station was a blur of red lights ignored, horns blaring like accusations. Rain slicked the streets, turning the city into a smeared watercolor of neon and shadows. My mind raced ahead, piecing together fragments. Ethan's mom, Laura, my ex-wife, had married Victor 2 years ago. I'd swallowed the bitterness, told myself it was for Ethan's sake. Joint custody, polite handoffs at soccer games. But Victor, he was a real estate shark, all polished suits and predatory smiles, the kind of man who collected enemies like trophies. I'd seen the bruises on Ethan's arms once, dismissed as roughhousing. Fool. Blind, stupid fool. The station loomed ahead, a squat brick building under harsh floodlights that buzzed like angry insects. I parked crookedly, slammed the door, and stormed inside. The lobby smelled of stale coffee and despair, fluorescent bulbs flickering overhead. A desk sergeant glanced up, his face etched with boredom. "I'm here for Ethan Harlow," I said, my words clipped, fighting the urge to shout. He nodded toward a holding area. There was Ethan, slumped on a bench, his face a map of bruises, purple swelling around his left eye, a split lip crusted with blood. He looked smaller than I remembered, his hoodie torn at the sleeve. When he saw me, his eyes welled up, but he bit it back, that tough kid facade I'd taught him crumbling. "Dad!" he whispered as I pulled him into a hug. He winced, and I felt the rigidity in his ribs. Cracked, maybe. The fury ignited again, a wildfire in my chest. "What happened?" I demanded, guiding him to a corner away from prying ears. Ethan's voice was a hoarse murmur. "We were arguing about college. Victor said I was wasting time with art classes, that I needed a real major. I told him to back off. He's not my dad." He lost it, grabbed me by the shirt, slammed me against the wall. His fist came out of nowhere. He touched his jaw gingerly, wincing. Mom tried to stop him, but he shoved her aside. Then he called the cops, said I swung first, that I was high or something. They believed him, Dad. Because he's got that fancy badge from his charity work with the department. Laura, course. She'd always been the peacemaker, smoothing over Victor's edges with excuses. "He's stressed from work," she'd say. But this, allowing her husband to brutalize our son and then let him take the fall? Betrayal didn't begin to cover it. It was a knife twisted in the gut, slow and deliberate. The sergeant approached with paperwork. "Mr. Harlow, your son's being released into your custody. No charges for now. Self-defense claim from the stepfather, but the kid's story checks out with the mom's statement. Just keep him out of trouble." I signed with a shaking hand, my mind already plotting. Victor had filed a false report. That was perjury, assault on a minor. I could bury him in court. But as we left the station, the rain now a relentless downpour drumming on the car roof, something darker stirred inside me. Court was too clean, too distant. This demanded something personal, visceral. Revenge, not justice. At home, I settled Ethan on the couch with ice packs and painkillers. He fell asleep quickly, exhaustion claiming him, but I paced the living room, the floorboards creaking under my weight. The apartment was a relic of my post-divorce life. Bare walls, takeout containers stacked like regrets. I poured a whiskey, the burn down my throat mirroring the fire in my veins. How had it come to this? Laura and I had been high school sweethearts, built a life together. Then the arguments started. My long hours at the construction firm, her feeling neglected. The divorce was amicable on paper, but it left scars. Victor appeared 6 months later, sweeping her off her feet with vacations and stability. I'd hated him from the start, that oily charisma masking something rotten. But Ethan. He tried to like the guy for Laura's sake. And this was the thanks. I imagined confronting Victor, my fists connecting with that smug face, hearing bones crack. But no, that was too impulsive. He'd twist it, play the victim again. I needed something smarter, something that would strip him bare, expose the monster beneath. Humiliate him as he'd humiliated my son. Dawn crept in, gray and unforgiving. Ethan stirred, mumbling in his sleep. I sat beside him, brushing hair from his forehead, guilt crashing over me like waves. I should have fought harder for full custody. Should have seen the signs. This was my failure too. But resentment toward Laura festered. Why hadn't she protected him? Called me first. Her silence was complicity. My phone buzzed, a text from her. I'm so sorry. Victor overreacted. Can we talk? I stared at the screen, fingers hovering. After this. This was war. The next few days blurred into a haze of doctor's visits and statements. Ethan's ribs were bruised, not broken, but the psychological toll was deeper. Nightmares, flinching at loud noises. I took time off work, hovering like a shadow, my anger a constant companion. Every glance at his bruises fueled it, a slow boil turning to steam. Laura called repeatedly, her voice tearful on voicemails. Please, Mark. Me explain. Victor feels awful. It was a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. I deleted them without reply, but doubt crept in. Was I overreacting? Ethan needed his mother. But then I'd remember his swollen face, and resolve hardened like steel. I started digging. Subtly at first. Victor Langford, CEO of Langford Realty. A quick online search revealed polished profiles. Philanthropist, community leader. But deeper, in forums and old news clips, hints of shadows. A former employee sued for harassment, settled out of court. Whispers of shady deals, flipping properties in low-income areas, displacing families. He was a predator in a suit, and now he'd turned on my blood. At night, alone in bed, fantasies consumed me. Poison in his coffee. Too traceable. An anonymous tip to the IRS about tax fraud. Satisfying but impersonal. No, it had to hurt to make him feel the helplessness Ethan had. I pictured ruining his reputation, watching his empire crumble. But moral qualms nagged. Was I becoming like him? A bully seeking vengeance. Guilt twisted in my gut, but resentment drowned it out. Ethan noticed my distraction. Over breakfast, eggs I burned while lost in thought, he asked, "Dad, what are you going to do about Victor?" I forced a smile. "Let the lawyers handle it, kid. Focus on healing." But his eyes, so like mine, saw through it. "He deserves worse. Mom's blind to him." The words hung heavy. That afternoon, I drove to their house under pretense of dropping off Ethan's things. Laura answered the door, her face pale, eyes red-rimmed. She looked older, the lines around her mouth deeper. "Mark, thank God. Come in." Victor was in the living room, nursing a bandaged hand. Ethan had fought back, good boy. He stood, feigning remorse. "Mark, I lost control. Ethan's a good kid. I apologize." His voice was smooth, practiced. But his eyes, Cold, calculating, betrayed him. No real regret, just damage control. You beat my son, I said, voice steady but laced with ice. Filed a false report. That's assault, perjury. Laura stepped between us. Please don't make this worse. We're family. Family. The word stung like salt in a wound. You let this happen, Laura. Stood by while he hurt our boy. She flinched. I tried to stop it. Victor's under pressure. Business troubles. He's seeing a therapist. Excuses. Always excuses. Victor smirked faintly, hidden behind her. That was the spark. The arrogance that said he knew he'd get away with it. I left without another word, but the plan crystallized in the car. Victor's weakness was his ego, his image. I dismantle it piece by piece. Weeks passed in calculated silence. I played the part. Civil co-parenting emails, no overt threats. But behind the scenes, I became a ghost in Victor's life. I hired a PI, a grizzled ex-cop named Reyes, to tail him. Reports trickled in. Late-night meetings at seedy bars, hushed conversations with shady investors. Victor was deep in debt, propping up his firm with under-the-table loans. Vulnerable. Inner conflict raged. Was this obsession healthy? Ethan was back at school, healing, but I saw the wariness in his eyes. Don't do anything stupid, Dad, he'd say, sensing my turmoil. Guilt gnawed, revenge could backfire, drag Ethan into more pain. But then I'd recall the phone call, that broken voice, and cold resolve pushed doubt aside. Subtle moves first. Anonymous emails to his clients, leaking details of past scandals. Whispers in real estate circles about his instability. His deals started falling through, one by one like dominoes. I watched from afar, savoring the cracks in his facade. Laura confronted me at a coffee shop, her hands trembling around a latte. Mark, stop this. Victor's losing everything. He knows it's you. Feigned innocence. What are you talking about? Her eyes pleaded. Please. For Ethan's sake. We're separating. I see now what he's become. Separation. A twist I hadn't anticipated. Part of me softened. Laura caught in the crossfire. But betrayal lingered. Too late for that. She left in tears and doubt surged again. Was I destroying her too? Moral grayness enveloped me. Revenge's double-edged blade. Victor cracked faster than expected. A frantic call at midnight. Harlow, you son of a bitch. I know it's you sabotaging me. His voice slurred, drunk, desperate. You want war. You'll get it. Threats only fueled me. I escalated. A tip to the police about his false report, backed by Ethan's medical records and witness statements from neighbors who'd heard the fight. Charges loomed, assault, perjury. But that wasn't enough. I needed him broken. The climax came on a stormy evening, much like the night of the call. I lured him to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts, anonymous note promising a bailout investor. He arrived disheveled, suit rumpled, eyes wild. You, he snarled, spotting me in the dim light filtering through cracked windows. Rain hammered the roof like gunfire. Me, I echoed, stepping forward. No weapons, just words and evidence. I tossed a folder at his feet. Photos of his illicit deals, affidavits from jilted partners. His face paled. What do you want? Confess, I said, voice low. To everything. The beating, the lies. Or this goes public. He laughed bitterly. You think you're a hero. Laura told me about your rages during the marriage. You're no better. The words hit like punches, truth in them. My own anger issues had contributed to the divorce. Doubt flooded, but I pressed on. Difference is, I never hurt my kid. Victor lunged, fueled by desperation. We grappled, fists flying, the warehouse echoing with grunts and impacts. He was stronger than expected, landing a blow to my jaw that exploded stars in my vision. But rage gave me edge. I pinned him, knee on his chest. Yield, I gasped. He spat blood. Fine. I'll confess. Just End this. But as cops arrived, tipped off by me, the twist unfolded. Victor whispered. Laura knew. About the deals. She's in deeper than you think. Arrested. He ranted about her involvement in his schemes. Investigations revealed Laura had cooked books for him, complicit in fraud. The ultimate betrayal, not just standing by, but enabling the monster. Heartbreak crashed over me as she was questioned. Ethan, devastated, clung to me. Why, Dad? Had no answer. Revenge's payoff was hollow. Poetic justice tainted by unintended ruin. Victor rotted in jail, his empire dust. Laura faced charges, our family fractured beyond repair. In the quiet aftermath, guilt consumed me. Obsession had blinded me to the full truth. I held Ethan close, vowing to rebuild. But the scars remained, a reminder. Vengeance devours all, even the avenger.